Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast sharing all the awesome. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter, and with me, as always, advancing the Amazon Prime Directive, Melissa.
Hey everybody, I'm Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter, and we're back for another episode of Nurture and Support, sharing all the awesome.
You do that with a lot more energy than me.
I'm trying to match it. You told me you were bringing it this episode.
I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it today. I'm going to try and bring it. And when we bring it, we're not only bringing it to Nurture and Support off of our website, off of iTunes. Hopefully you hear us on Live 365 here sometime soon. We're still a little murky on that, but I'm sure it's all going to work out. And now we're also on Stitcher.
Yay, Stitcher!
So you can find us there's really no excuse at this point in time. But if you're listening to me talk about it, you have found us. So thank you. But we're creating more platforms. So we're excited to see how the Stitcher thing works out. We'd love to add some new folks, and if we do, we'd love to hear from you.
Yep, and there is a button on the blog over on the side that you can click that will take you to our Stitcher page so you can subscribe over there. So it would be great if y'all would do that for us.
Yes, it would. All right, commence the bringing. So, in a past episode, and I did not look this up before the show, but I had recommended, both Mel and I like abandoned places. I just kind of like the imagery and the kind of the story behind why it's there in particular. And Mel likes all that, but she also likes when nature wins, when nature kind of reclaims and those types of things. And so we're big abandoned places fans, and so I came across a nice little gem on Netflix called ForgottenPlanet. And there are 6 episodes of it, where each episode they go to 2 abandoned places, and they do about a half hour on each.
Cool.
And it's pretty interesting. There's going to be actually an extra credit part to this recommendation that I'll come to at the end. But what I thought I'd do is it's well executed in terms of they kind of, you get a lot of imagery of the place. They kind of give the backstories, which are a lot of times really, really interesting, and they hit just a wide variety of places. And so I don't know, it was in 2011, so I guess they just probably did the 1 season of the 6 shows and that's it. But they run an hour a piece. But it's worthwhile watching it. I do see, due to the power of Netflix and sharing, that our good friend Holly Wilson has also watched ForgottenPlanet. So we have at least one person that this wouldn't be news to, but it's a good show. So I thought I'd just kind of touch on real quick on the 6 episodes, the places, and then we'll get to the extra credit portion of the recommendation. So the first episode is Prepat and Pitcher. And Prepat is right next to Chernobyl, so you get to kind of see. This is where a lot of the work, it's about a mile or 2 miles out from the actual reactors, but it's where a lot of the workers stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And so when everything went down in Chernobyl, you get a lot of the backstory, like, well, they said there was a fire, and then they said, maybe it's better for you to leave, and we're going to come back. And of course, they never came back. And so you get to see what was just this huge complex built pretty much exclusively for workers from the Chernobyl factory. And then Pitcher is in Oklahoma, and it's a mining center. And it has the fine acknowledgement of being one of the most toxic towns in America. So you get into kind of a mining town and things that have not necessarily gone too well there. In episode 2, we get into the Namibian desert and diamond mining. And so where there used to be actually diamonds on the ground, there were actually, when it first started off, the diamonds were just laying on the ground. So the whole mining process was they'd send people out with buckets and a broom to sweep up the diamonds that were on the grass, or on the sand, rather.
That sounds pretty good.
It's a pretty good
job.
That job. Yeah, I could do that. But then they kind of took the surface stuff off, and they had to start to dig and move around. And so here you get to see a desert reclaiming a lot of structures and things. So that's pretty cool. And then a California gold mine which is Bodie, California, where they kind of show what happened to a California gold mine. In the third episode, we get to Ballestrino and Hunter's Point. And Ballestrino is in Italy. It's a medieval town, and they had a marquis who was not a good person, and it looks like and basically the family is still in place, but they're now like the only residents of this town anymore is the family, and so it's kind of interesting there. And then Hunter's Point is very close to San Francisco. Was originally related to the military, and they did a bunch of things, and then. Folks might remember Bikini Island, and they took a bunch of boats out there and kind of detonated a few A-bombs, and then they wanted to study them.
Yeah.
So they didn't know a lot about radiation back then, and so they towed several of the boats back to Hunter's Point and cut them up there and then washed them down and sandblasted them when they were done. So it now has a bit of a radiation problem, and that's going on. So, but it fell on harder. That was the kind of coup de grace of it kind of descending down. Then Salton Sea and Weston is the next episode. Salton Sea, and I'm going to talk a lot more about Salton Sea in a second here, was intended to be the next Riviera. It's right near Palm Springs, and we'll talk a little bit more about Salton Sea's involved with the extra credit. So we'll come to that in a second. And then Weston is actually the location of an insane asylum, and nothing creepier than abandoned insane asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had some interesting stories there. A little paranormal cut on that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 5, we get Chile. And some of the things again related to a desert and some nitrate mining, and Detroit. And so Detroit's real fascinating, because it kind of covers Detroit at one point was kind of the crown jewel of certain things when the American automotive industry was in a different place, and then what has kind of happened since then, the Packard plant and all the other things. So it's pretty amazing to see that. And then finally, Hashima, Japan, which is an island, which is right near Nagasaki. Was affected by things that happened in Nagasaki in World War II. Mm-hmm. And it's this island that they had there, and so they kind of covered that. And then Gary, Indiana is the last one. I'm an Indiana native, and so it was just very interesting to see Gary, which was a town built by U.S. Steel. The CEO of U.S. Steel at that time's last name was Gary, which is where the name of the town comes from. Oh. And so he kind of goes through this arc of Gary starting to build up and actually being kind of a destination, if you will, until it has come on much, much harder times. So it's just, you get a lot for each of these, you get a lot of the backstory and how it happened. You get residents from time to time, either current or past, and that's all very, very cool. But I did want to come back to the extra credit part, which is if you watch the episode including the Salton Sea, and you find that interesting, what you're then going to want to do is run over to YouTube, and we'll put the link in here for you, but you want to do it just if you do a search on Salton Sea, look for about a 1-hour video that's called Plagues and Pleasures of the Salton Sea, and it gives you an additional hour about the Salton Sea. Cool. And it's just, I just found this, I don't know if there's something wrong with me. I don't know why I found this as interesting. Well, yeah, there's lots of, but I just got so fascinated with this story of, it starts out that, so there was a depression called the Salton Sink, and over time as they started to pull water from the Colorado River to irrigate, because they wanted to do some farming around that area, and all of this is just a little bit to the south and to the east of Palm Springs. They were doing some irrigation, building up some farmland. You can farm in the desert with this irrigation, but these irrigation channels got filled with silt. And part of their process to troubleshoot it was to, without any additional engineering or surveying, they introduced 3 or 4 more inlets from the Colorado River into this irrigation thing with the theory to say, oh, we'll clear it out. Well, it cleared it out. And it created the largest body of water inland, 45 miles wide, 12 miles long, of water that just from the Colorado River that just kind of got dumped into this sink.
Mm-hmm.
And then on an ongoing basis, the drainage from the fields continues to follow and make its way there and drain into the Salton Sea, which then became the go-to happening place. The Beach Boys played at the Harbor House or whatever, because it's below sea level. And because the water is so salty, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, tremendous, very fast. So we would have boat races there a lot, and those types of things, big challenges. So it just became kind of a destination. But then there was another flood, and it wiped out big chunks of all the infrastructure. The big marina got taken out, and a bunch of other things. A lot of the residents, and they were in the process of building Salton City, which was going to be kind of an upscale residential area, and all that kind of just got tanked because of the flood, compounded with, because this is a sink and because there's no place for the water to go, everything that flows into the sea stays in the sea, and so its salt water has continued, its salt content has continued to go up and up and up and up and up, and to just ridiculous levels now, as well as any other little goodies that might be making their way in from the fields and being kind of washed out. So not good. So then they put tilapia in it early on in the process, and tilapia thrived in that environment forever. And they're figuring there's upwards of 7 million tilapia in the Salton Sea. And it's good that there's 7 million, because roughly about 1 million of them die out every year. Ooh. And you get these huge piles of dead fish, a mile long, 30 feet deep on the shore of dead tilapia.
Do they know why?
Well, it's basically the salt content goes up so much that the oxygen can't make its way into the water, and they suffocate. They die off,
yeah.
And then they get diseased also, and then the birds eat the diseased fish, and then the birds and the pelicans die, because this is now all the wetlands in California are gone. This is it. This is the last major wetland, and it's this kind of cesspool-y kind of thing there. So they get kind of big bird die-outs and big fish die-outs from there. So you can start to imagine the smell.
Yeah.
And as you walk along the shore of the Salton Sea, you think, wow, I'm walking on a bunch of shells. This is so strange. How did so many shells get here? It's not shells. It's tilapia spines and tilapia vertebrae. It's from all the die-outs. So it basically becomes this kind of thing there. So Sonny Bono, it's just such a fascinating, because there's like all these characters. Sonny Bono, who's mayor of Palm Springs, said, we need to fix this. And he was pushing to try and get something done to fix this. And then as one of the current residents, who are a very colorful lot around the Salton, people who are living around the Salton Sea today, they're interesting characters. And you see this in the documentary a lot. This one lady was talking, he goes, yeah, that Sonny Bono guy, he was really helping us. And then he went skiing. And so,
that's one way to put it.
And then so they lost Sonny, but his wife carried on the cause, and they actually established a Salton Sea renovation or reclaim kind of process and all that. So they're trying to do some things, but the cost to actually do something to figure out how you solve this ecologically is still out there. And so the documentary plays heavily on the situation, but then you also get to see this breed of people that have decided to continue to live around this space. And it's just they're they're colorful and interesting. There's some guys like, hey, I bought it when I thought everybody was buying land here because they thought it was going to be the next Riviera, and it's all these things, and then things went south. He goes, I can't afford to move, so I'm here till I die. And it's
smell or not.
It's a real interesting thing. So I didn't know anything about the Salton Sea until I watched ForgottenPlanet, and then because I found that interesting, I did some other searches and came across this really neat documentary. And then just the last little finishing touch, Another recommendation from before, Adamthewoo. Adamthewoo has been to the Salton Sea. He's got a little clip of him visiting the Salton Sea as well, and the tilapia bones and all that stuff. So I think Forgotten Planet, fun to watch. I think you see a lot of different things. If you too become as interested in the Salton Sea as I have become, there's this wonderful documentary you can watch, colorful characters, and it's just kind of interesting. And there's an Adamthewoo segment as well. So
Yeah.
that's my recommendation for this week.
Well, I'm definitely gonna watch that because I've heard of the Salton Sea before, but I don't know a lot about it. So I'm always into ecological disasters. So I'm definitely gonna watch that. But I love, like you said, I love abandoned places. So that's always so interesting to me, and I especially love it when Mother Nature rises up and takes it back. So.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Mother Nature rising up right now in the Salton Sea, but we'll see.
No, but killing everything off is also her way.
Yeah.
She's loving and cruel.
That's right. A stern hand on the tiller.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes it my turn. My recommendation this week is, if you follow me on Twitter, as of course if you're listening to this show, you should definitely be following me on Twitter because I'm terribly, terribly, terribly interesting, is a show I've been tweeting about lately that is coming on Sunday nights. It comes on a little bit early, 7 Central for me, and it's called The Librarians, and it's on TNT. And if you're at all familiar with this is a television series based on a series of movies that TNT did, starring Noah Wyle, all titled The Librarian. And there were 3 movies that started back in 2004. The first one was The Librarian Quest for the Spear. The second one was The Librarian Return to King Solomon's Mines. And the third one was The Librarian, The Curse of the Judas Chalice, and that last one came out in 2008. Like I said, Noah Wyle starred as the librarian. It's had a series of known people throughout the movies, but it's the story of the very first movie is the one that I really think everybody should watch. But it's the story of this geeky, nerdy guy who basically can't get out of school because he's interested in so many things. He just keeps learning and learning and learning and learning, and he just wants to know everything. Well, if you're a fan of Warehouse 13, all of this might start sounding a little bit familiar. There is this library where all of these mythological, powerful artifacts are stored. The librarian's job is to gather up these artifacts to keep them out of the hands of people who would use them to do harm to other people, the world, themselves, and keep them safe in the library. So in the movie, Noah Wyle's character, they need a new librarian, and the library sends out its own invitations. It's kind of like Hogwarts, where the owl delivers the invitation. Well, here you just kind of get a note slipped under the door telling you to show up at a certain day and a certain time, and you get interviewed to be the librarian, and basically the library picks who it wants. So Noah Wyle became the librarian. And the movies are very entertaining. They're very quirky. They're not taking themselves very seriously. They're just fun. And it's kind of a nice mix between science and mythology. So that's about the movies. And I really do, if you've never seen the movies, I definitely think that you should at least see the very first movie that kind of sets up this story. If you see the rest of the movies, you'll find out more of the backstory of Noah Wyle's character. He is a recurring character in the TV series, but if any of you are Noah Wyle fans, you know that he is also the star of the Falling Skies series that's also on TNT. I believe it's in its last season. So maybe after this he'll be in the show more, but he's been in the first 2 episodes, which were aired back to back. And I believe he's going to make a reappearance in episode 4. As we're recording this right now, the 3 episodes have aired. So I'm going to tell you a spoiler for the Christmas episode of The Librarians. And if this doesn't make you watch this show, then I don't know what I can tell you. Bruce Campbell plays Santa. That's the Christmas episode of The Librarians. And he talks about himself in the third person the entire time. And
As
it's
he
kind of
talks
awesome.
about Santa in the third person or Bruce Campbell in the third person?
Well, he refers to himself as Santa in the third person.
Gotcha.
It's really fun. So the gist of the new series is that Noah Wiley as the librarian can't possibly handle all of the little jobs that need to be taken care of. So now these three other prodigies who were also interviewed for the job, or they were actually tapped to be interviewed, but actually none of them actually showed up. He has to save them from some plot, and they get pulled into working for the library because he can't handle everything that there is to do. And they're a great little cast of characters. And let me see their character names. One of them is Ezekiel Jones, and I just love saying his name, Ezekiel Jones. He's like a thief, and he's quite entertaining. I like him. He's kind of the bad boy of the group. He's played by an actor named John Kim. Another one is Jake Stone, who is an Oklahoma cowboy type who is secretly, under a pen name, writes art history books, and he's played by Christian Kane. And then there's a little math whiz girl named Cassandra Killian, I believe, and she's played by Lindy Booth. Now, another big star that's in here is Rebecca Romijn, and she plays the guardian of the librarian. Only her job basically now is to keep these three from getting themselves killed. She's military, and the library basically sends her an invitation and picks her to be the guardian. And so she's the main draw when the series starts. But all of the characters are just really entertaining in how they interact with each other because they're very different people, but they're all super smart in their ways, and they have to try to find a way to work together to save the world from the evil serpent brotherhood who's trying to bring magic back into the world. And this, of course, you have to wonder, well, why is this a bad thing? Is it magic good? Don't we like magic? Melissa likes magic. She likes dragons and minotaurs and all sorts of things, and these are things that show up in the series which may not actually be very good for people. So another fun fact is the head of the Serpent Brotherhood is someone that I love dearly. He played Max Headroom once upon a time.
Oh.
So that is, of course, Matt Frewer. And love him. He's his typical over-the-top self in this series, and I just love him. But another great one, see, it just keeps going on and on and on. John Larroquette plays Jenkins, a character named Jenkins, and he is kind of a grumpy genius researcher guy who works in an annex of the library, where now these three new people are stationed out of. And he's been in every episode since they got the series set up, and he's great. He unfortunately is not one of the ones who is live tweeting the show when it airs, but basically everybody else is. Rebecca Romijn, Christian Kane, John Kim, and Lindy Booth are all live tweeting the show every episode so far, and along with the show's showrunner, Dean Devlin. And it's just a lot of fun. That I've mentioned before that always adds a lot to a show when you have the cast who interact with people and throw out little tidbits and just poke fun at each other while the show is airing. Unfortunately, during the Christmas episode, Bruce Campbell didn't have his time zone straight, and he didn't get in on the live tweeting. So that was disappointing because he's great when he does that. But
I'm glad somebody else, even the great Bruce Campbell, has time zone issues, so I'm feeling a little better.
Yes. Yes, so I was disappointed at that. We were really hitting his Twitter handle hard, trying to get him to interact, and he wasn't paying any attention because he thought it was a different time zone. It hadn't aired where he was yet. So it's just it's a fun show that even though it predates Warehouse 13, if you were a Warehouse 13 fan, with its quirkiness and its action, I think, will like this show. I like it. I find it smart and funny, and it's just a lot of fun. How they interact together. I love Rebecca Romijn. She does a really good job. She can do drama and she can really do comedy very well, and she does this part really well. So next episode, there are going to be dragons, and there's going to be no Wiley's going to return as the librarian Flynn. So I'm really looking forward to it. And it's not so far into the season yet that all of you can't get caught up. The ratings have continued to rise every episode, so it's looking good that it's going to hold on there and get another season. And I believe you can watch all of the episodes on TNT, which should be part of everybody's, I think, basic cable service. So if you've got basic cable, you shouldn't have a problem getting on there and watching them online, which is always a plus. So The Librarians on TNT comes on Sunday nights. And I suggest that you try to check out, if you like it, then check out the first movie, Quest for the Spear. It is unfortunately, as far as I can tell, only available to rent on Amazon. Um,
What a shock!
I
What a
know.
complete surprise!
I
Who would have
know.
thought?
I know. I looked, because some people hadn't ever heard of the movies when we were watching the show. And so we were looking to see how they could get caught up. And unfortunately, none of them are available on Netflix. And though they did air some of the movies right before the series started, but I have not seen that they were re-airing any of them. And I'm not sure if they showed Quest for the Spear. I would hope they did because it was by far my favorite of the three movies. But you can catch it on Amazon. Unfortunately, it's not even free for Prime members. You do have to pay for it. But I think all three movies are available on their instant movie service for a little bit of money. But the first one definitely is worth it. I promise. It's fun. So check it out and then watch The Librarians Sunday nights on TNT. I think y'all will enjoy it, and I would definitely enjoy having more people to live tweet with because I am keeping up on this show. I know I fall behind on a bunch of them, but I'm working really hard to keep up on this one, even though it comes on pretty early for me. So join in.
Okay, I'll do that. And so at 7 p.m. Central Time is
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I need to. I certainly don't have anything else to do on my Sundays because football for me has been over for a while, and so I have a lot of free time. Yeah, but yeah, I just we talked about this before, and then you had mentioned that this was pretty cool. Really appreciate the recommendation here to give me kind of a better sense. And I was a huge Warehouse 13 fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it didn't hurt that Eddie McClintock was a big Alice Cooper fan, and he talked about that, and that helped cement me in. But I even before I knew that, I liked Warehouse 13.
Yeah.
It does sound very similar, but so I guess even though there's like some of the basic building blocks,
Mm-hmm.
there's some similarities. I just take it while the spirit and essence may be the same, I mean, it's not a
They
not.
are, yeah, no, they're different, and actually, the Librarians, they predate Warehouse 13. The movies came out, the first movie came out in 2004, so it predates Warehouse 13. And, whereas Warehouse 13, being the number 13, there were different warehouses. They approach what they're doing is a little bit different than what the Librarians are doing. Um, it's not, there's no artifacts that are taking people over. They're just dealing. One of the things that I like that they do, like there was a Minotaur, the Labyrinth and the Minotaur episode recently, which of course instigated me making a lot of David Bowie jokes, because the Labyrinth, of course. But
Like that
they,
movie, hated his pants. Hated his pants in that movie.
oh, there wasn't anything wrong with his pants.
I know.
They were a little tight, a little
Just a bit.
sparkly, but that's
Uncomfortable.
okay. You weren't supposed to be looking at his pants. You were supposed to be looking at his hair.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that they use is they use history to basically figure out what they're doing. So all of their knowledge, because these are very smart people, like the one character is very much into art history. The one is a thief, so he knows everything about everything that's worth stealing. And the other one's a math whiz. They use the knowledge that they have to apply to a certain situation and unravel the mysteries behind a particular myth. So basically, they have to figure out the secrets behind the Minotaur's labyrinth in order to basically escape the labyrinth themselves and to basically kind of recapture it to get it out of the hands of the people who are misusing it. So it's the concept of what they're trying to do is similar to Warehouse 13, but why they're doing it and how they're doing it is different. But the librarian's idea, the librarian, predates Warehouse 13. So it came first. It's not a knockoff of Warehouse 13. I'm sure Warehouse 13's popularity did not hurt them deciding to make it into a series. But it is a different animal, but they are similar enough that if you liked the idea, you'll enjoy the Librarians.
Cool.
So I like it. I liked Warehouse 13, but I loved the Librarian movie the first time I saw it. I was like, this is amazing. And then when Warehouse 13 came out, I was like, this seems a little familiar. But it was different enough that you didn't say even then it was a ripoff of the Librarian movie.
Okay.
Because the reason that they're doing it and the way that they're doing it is different. The fact that they have a place where they're stashing the Ark of the Covenant and all of these things from history are, that's similar, but different enough that I don't think anybody will have a problem equating, watching both of them and liking them for their own special uniqueness. So
Cool. Well, it sounds like, you've got Matt Fewer, Bruce Campbell shows up,
I know.
John Larroquette.
And he is just great. I wish I don't even know if he has a Twitter account. I didn't look it up, but he's not live tweeting. And, as curmudgeonly as he can be in all of the characters that he plays, I think he would be great on Twitter.
I would think so, too. Yeah,
I've never seen a Twitter account for him, but I honestly did not look it up.
Cool. Well, it's really cool to hear that they are live tweeting. So that's very neat. Excellent.
Yeah, it is fun. And they are a friendly group among themselves, and they're poking fun at each other on Twitter for all of us to see, which is fun. Makes us feel included, like one big happy librarian family.
There you go. Yeah, and it's always nice when you can kind of tell that there's kind of a good-natured back and forth going on.
Right.
When you see that in panels and then online, it's very cool.
Yeah, they tweet pictures out a lot of times that they've taken of them cutting up behind scenes and things like that. So it's nice, and it adds a little depth to the story. Makes you root for it to keep going just a little bit more. So, but the ratings have been good, so hoping there won't be any issue about it getting a second season. So it's early yet.
And it's nice to see Twitter used for what Twitter's best for, because it's that real-time interconnectivity that's just awesome for in a fun way. So very cool. All right. Well, I'm in. I'll have to figure out as we deal with calendar and stuff coming on right now whether I got to catch up. So whether it's this next Sunday or the Sunday after, I'm in soon.
You're definitely going to have to watch the Santa episode.
Yeah.
Because
I'll be watching it all. So if I can tear myself away from my Salton Sea research, which at this point.
You might need to make a field trip.
All consuming. Well, that was the other thing, is that Yelp has reviews on the Salton Sea. So I did spend a lot of time on this, and I'm reading the Yelp reviews, and it's this combination of some people saying you got to go, it's just kind of amazing, to other people going like, it's like a port. It's like, if you want to spend a week in a porta potty, this is where you want to go. And but yeah, there's reviews on Yelp. It's There's a lot.
I'm
And
gonna have to look up the Yelp reviews.
it's fairly evenly divided between 4 stars and 1 star.
Yeah.
Um,
Differences
yeah.
between people, whether you find stuff like that interesting or not. I know people that think white sands is incredibly boring, and they're like, it's just a bunch of white sand. I'm like, but it's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those that would be like, cool. Look at all this white sand, and other people are bored to tears. I'm like, well, we'll just go wait in the car.
Yeah. I think with the Salton Sea, the key is going to be uh, your sense of smell. and I think
Which,
the unavoidable thing is that there is a definite aroma around the place.
yeah, and that would be my problem. I do not deal with I can't get very close to the coast because I'm one of those that like it just smells dead to me. So I'm thinking I would have to have a vapor rub mask on my face to take that, but it would be cool. It would be cool to see, but yeah, I don't know. The smell might get to me because I can't handle the coast.
And we couldn't seem to get a lot of traction with, doing drunk nurture and support. But maybe we can get some support to do a Kickstarter to do nurture and support live from the Salton Sea.
Yeah, we could do that.
That would be
We could totally do that.
Mel with her mask on.
Yeah, it'd be better. I think that would be a good episode.
Excellent. Well, we'll jump into social media recommendations, and the one I'm going to recommend today is the Twitter account name is at Breathing Memes. So that's at BreathingMemes. So at Breathing Memes. Heavy Breathing Cat is the name of the handle, and what appears to be, and I think this is possibly a newer Twitter account, only has about 110 followers right now, but it looks like this individual has a 3D printer. And what he or she's wanting to do is print internet memes. And so there's like a condescending Wonka that he's done in 3D, he or
Oh,
she's done in a 3D printing. Unicorn, one of the unicorns from those types of things. And the reason I made the connection to this individual is that they kind of tweeted back to me because I was all excited today because the Christmas edition of Bane Cat came out, the awesome Bane Cat, and this individual has done a remarkably cool 3D printing of Bane Cat. Which I'll have to go to the site and see how much that's going to cost me because I need to have Bane Cat sitting on my desk. I just think that would be perfect.
I saw that tweet, but I have not looked at that yet, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yep. So it's Breathing Memes. I have a hunch that he doesn't just print these, he or she doesn't just print these, they sell them. So you may want to check it out, but it's a good follow, and it's some pretty interesting things. And I know it's probably tough with condescending Wonka to really pull that off, and the ones I see there is you kind of get it, but I'm not sure. But the Bane Cat is perfect, no pun intended.
Cool. Yes, I saw that Silent Night Bane Cat video that you tweeted, and that was the highlight of my day. That was great. I did very much like that.
That
So,
yeah, I'll have to think Bane Cat maybe he'll be somehow there's going to be a recommendation involving Bane Cat in the future because I just haven't seen that. You need to check it out.
yes, I had not seen that. I had heard. I think I maybe had seen some screenshots before, but I had not watched any of the videos, and that was an experience that I am sad that I had missed out on earlier. So thank you very much for sharing that because that made my day today. So my social media recommendation this week is related to my regular recommendation. It is John Rogers, and his Twitter handle is at John, JONROG1. And he describes himself as a geekarati TV and film writer. He is a writer on the Librarians, and he is very much into tweeting about the show while the show is on and in between. But despite always, in addition to trying to increase the popularity of a show that he is employed by, he has a lot of other useful things to talk about that are TV related and just funny in general. Like today, he tweeted about a book that he compared, or not that he compared, but that has been compared to the Dresden Files that I hadn't heard of today. So he's now giving me books to read too. So I'm like, hey, I like you, John Rogers, and I'm going to tell everybody else to follow you. Not that he needs help. He's got 16,000 followers. He doesn't need my help, but I think he's funny. I like the show that he works on, but that's not all he talks about. He talks about things all over Hollywood, all over everywhere. He's very general purpose and has a lot of intelligent things to say about pop culture, and I think all of you should go follow him. So that is at John, Jon, Rog, ROG 1 on Twitter, and his blog, I should mention, is also linked on his Twitter bio, and it's kfmonkey.blogspot.com, but that stands for Kung Fu Monkey, which just makes me laugh. So that's another plus. And the byline of that blog is your monkey's kung fu is not strong. So that's true in my case. My monkey does not have good kung fu. So go follow him, people.
That's cool. Definitely will there. Book recommendations, huh? Boy, a lot of pressure on Kelly to read more.
Well, all anybody has to do is compare a book to Dresden Files, and I'm like, okay, I'm sold.
You're in. Fair enough.
Yep.
Cool. Well, that's that's a lot for you folks to think about and check out. You got some pretty cool things you can catch either on Netflix or on Sunday night. A couple very cool Twitter accounts. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope if you're listening to us on Stitcher, you let us know. If we're getting some new folks there, we'd be super excited to know that. Always welcome recommendations from folks who listen to us. We'd like to share those. The mail, that does require us to go into our email account and check that for suggestions.
That's true.
Yes. We could be better at, but we'll go look.
That'll be a New Year's resolution.
We're going to be on it, on it big time.
We'll check the email account more often, we swear.
Yep. But our other resolution is we also resolve not to try and give you contact information and put that in the hands of the professionals. So we're going to hand it over to Matt and let him give you all the particulars on ways you can get in contact with us, follow us, connect with us, share your ideas. Hope you enjoy the show, and thanks for listening.
And we'll be back next week with more.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com, or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting Terminated.